Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 1 of April 2026. Donald Trump expressed a preference for seizing Iran's oil and Kurg Island, comparing it to US plans in Venezuela. This statement comes as the US rapidly deploys troops to the Middle East amid escalating regional conflict and surging oil prices. Analysts warn of significant escalation and increased US casualties if such an operation were attempted. Toyota's global production dropped for the fourth straight month in February. This decline was mainly due to lower output in Canada as the company transitioned to the new RAV4 model. Overall vehicle production saw a decrease compared to the previous year. Despite strong demand, the production switch impacted numbers. Bajaj Finserv is gearing up to elevate its presence in the artificial intelligence sector, with plans to unveil a specialized private equity fund directed at AI initiatives. The financial services giant is also looking to directly invest in nascent AI startups from its own coffers. Late on Friday, the Reserve Bank of India or RBI asked banks to cap their net open rupee positions in the onshore deliverable market to $100 million at the end of each business day, effective April 10th. This is far lower than the 25% of total capital limit earlier. As a result, banks are now required to trim their dollar assets and offload US currency. As of April 1st, new legislation will prevent the use of Chinese CCTV cameras in India, directly affecting companies such as Hikvision and Dahua. In their place, Indian manufacturers are seizing the opportunity to fill the market void, which is inevitably influencing price trends. With these regulations, the government seeks to bolster security protocols across the nation. New rules for 4 labor codes are ready for notification. These codes consolidate 44 laws into 29 provisions. Implementation is expected in April. This will bring social security to unorganized workers, including gig and platform workers. Mandatory health checkups and unemployment benefits will be introduced. A social security fund will be established for 400 million unorganized workers. The US-Israeli war with Iran has shattered the Middle East's reputation as a stable energy hub, damaging infrastructure and disrupting vital shipping lanes. This conflict is forcing major oil companies to seek new fossil fuel resources elsewhere, as higher oil prices make previously marginal regions more attractive for investment. Rising crude oil prices due to West Asian tensions could significantly push up India's inflation by 55 to 60 basis points per $10 barrel increase in financial year 27. This could also widen the current account deficit and pressure the Indian rupee, though strong domestic demand and policy flexibility offer some resilience. Atanu Chakrabarti stepped down as HDFC Bank chairman after a 2-year internal dilemma. He cited a mismatch in understanding values, ethics and governance. Chakrabarti felt issues in Dubai operations went beyond technicalities. He also noted shareholder returns and cost structures. His departure highlights a philosophical divide on balancing growth and governance. The Reserve Bank of India has levied a Rs 31.8 lakh penalty on Airtel Payments Bank for failing to disclose certain customer complaints in its financial statements for the fiscal year 2024-25. This action follows a statutory inspection that identified non-compliance with RBI's disclosure norms. The penalty underscores the importance of regulatory adherence in financial reporting. The Indian rupee faced pressure on Monday. Corporates exploited arbitrage opportunities between onshore and non-deliverable forward markets. This emerged after the Reserve Bank of India tightened banks' forex positions. The rupee hit a record low against the US dollar. Importers also contributed to the currency's decline. This situation created attractive trading windows for businesses. Japan is tightening its citizenship requirements, increasing the residency period for naturalization from 5 to 10 consecutive years starting April 1st. New rules also demand extended tax and social insurance records, aligning citizenship standards more closely with permanent residency. These changes aim to ensure a more rigorous process for acquiring Japanese nationality. The Lok Sabha has passed the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill, replacing the underutilized fast-track process with a new creditor-initiated insolvency framework. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman highlighted that the IBC has facilitated the resolution of 1,376 companies, recovering Rs 4.11 lakh crore. The amendments aim to expedite insolvency applications and introduce provisions for group and cross-border insolvency. America may soon end its military actions against Iran. President Trump indicated a withdrawal within weeks. This comes as Iran threatens US companies. Talks are ongoing, but the US is prepared to continue if Iran does not comply. Pakistan is seeking to mediate the conflict. Heavy strikes continue across the region. India's rupee faces potential record lows against the dollar, possibly exceeding 100 if the Iran war escalates. Analysts warn that elevated oil prices will worsen inflation and the current account deficit, while central bank measures may only offer temporary respite. Market pricing suggests further losses are likely. Sammaan Capital is set to transform into a diversified NBFC following a significant Rs 5,652 crore transaction with Abu Dhabi-based IHC. IHC's affiliate will acquire a 41.5% stake, becoming a promoter. This strategic move aims to expand Sammaan Capital's product offerings beyond mortgages and double its asset base within 3 years. New income tax rules. Significant income tax changes are coming from April 1st, 2026, with the Income Tax Act of 2025 replacing the 1961 Act. Expect revised TDS or TCS rules, updated ITR filing deadlines, and changes to buyback taxation. Key benefits include expanded HRA exemptions and increased meal card tax benefits, aiming for a simpler tax regime. Gold loans are booming, surging in both volume and value, driven by rising gold prices and increased originations. This trend positions gold loans as a major retail product, expanding beyond traditional areas into new regions. Lenders are focusing on credit-tested individuals, with women and rural consumers forming a significant base, indicating a mainstream shift for this lending category. Banks are now favoring borrowers with top credit scores. This shift reflects caution in lending. New customers are also getting fewer loans. Despite this, the overall credit market is improving. Asset quality is better. Gold loans are seeing a surge in volume and value. They now lead retail lending. Jet fuel prices have surged dramatically, more than doubling to a record high. This sharp increase in aviation turbine fuel, a major operational cost for airlines, is expected to lead to higher airfares. Indian carriers are already facing increased costs due to longer flight routes. Tensions within the TVS Group promoter family have spilled into the boardroom of Sundaram Clayton, raising governance concerns at the holding company of TVS Motor Company. Within days, the board reversed its own decision on the resignation of company secretary P.D. Devkishan after managing director Lakshmi Venu pushed for his removal, citing alignment issues. RBL Bank has secured crucial approval from the Reserve Bank of India for its deal with Emirates NBD Bank. This clearance is expected to initiate a mandatory open offer to shareholders as early as next week. Emirates NBD Bank is set to acquire a majority stake in RBL Bank, marking a significant foreign investment in an Indian lender. The Reserve Bank of India has tightened foreign exchange rules. Banks can no longer offer non-deliverable forward contracts to clients. This move aims to support the Indian rupee. The new regulations also prevent banks from rebooking derivative contracts and dealing with related parties. These measures are effective immediately and could impact banks and corporate treasuries. Inox Clean Energy has completed the acquisition of Vibrant Energy from Macquarie Corporate Holdings Pty Limited and other shareholders at an enterprise value of Rs 5,000 crore. The acquisition has been completed in a record time of 4 months despite turbulent conditions in the global M&A ecosystem. Vibrant Energy, renowned for its renewable energy solutions, boasts a 1,337 megawatt portfolio that spans multiple Indian states. Following the entry of cheaper generic versions of its blockbuster weight loss drug semaglutide in the domestic market, Danish drug maker Novo Nordisk has slashed the prices of both its obesity drug Wegovy and anti-diabetic medication Ozempic in India. Starting April 1st, the price of the starting dose of Ozempic will be reduced by 36%, while that of the starting dose of Wegovy will be reduced by 48%. This is done to make these innovative therapies that are supported by robust clinical evidence and high scientific standards more accessible to a larger section of people living with diabetes and obesity in India. Electric passenger vehicle sales rose 82% year-on-year in financial year 26 to 196,754 units, nearing the 200,000 mark as wider model availability and increased participation by automakers supported adoption. Industry executives said the expansion was driven by sustained traction among early movers and a scale-up by Mahindra & Mahindra, which has emerged as a stronger challenger in the segment. A series of new launches through financial year 26 also helped deepen the market by expanding choices across price points. India is introducing a new credit guarantee scheme to help industries facing higher costs due to the West Asia conflict. This initiative aims to ensure companies can access funding, easing concerns about rising input and logistics expenses. The government is proactively preparing to mitigate any economic stress. Global crude oil prices have surged past $110 per barrel. However, Indian retail fuel prices remain stable. This is due to government excise duty cuts and oil companies absorbing losses. Taxation remains a key factor in India's fuel pricing. Bringing fuel under GST could significantly reduce prices for consumers. PNB Housing Finance has been directed by the National Housing Bank to disclose an additional Rs 933 crore in bad loans for March 2023. This divergence arose from non-compliant loan restructurings in financial year 22-23, where interest rates were reduced for competitive reasons. The company states there is no current financial impact. India's microdrama market braces for new wave of competition. The market, currently estimated at $300 million, is projected to exceed $3 billion by 2030. Unlike traditional long-form shows, these are vertical, episodic stories lasting 1 to 2 minutes designed for mobile-first audiences. The format has seen explosive global growth, particularly in China, and is now gaining traction in India as viewing habits fragment across the day. The government on Thursday imposed import curbs on all forms of articles of gold, silver and platinum, a move aimed at checking misuse of free trade agreements or FTAs. These restrictions will apply irrespective of any prior contract, irrevocable letter of credit, advance payment, shipment status or any other commitment, the Directorate General of Foreign Trade said in a notification. Accordingly, the benefit of transitional arrangements shall not be available. Eternal Limited, the parent of Zomato, has approved a fresh grant of 74.18 lakh employee stock options or ESOPs, extending its multi-year practice of using equity incentives to retain and reward talent. The company's compensation committee approved the grant, allocating stock options across 3 ESOP schemes introduced over the past decade, reflecting different phases of its expansion. Crude oil above $100 a barrel will push inflation past 6%. This could prompt interest rate hikes. Economists suggest a neutral approach for monetary and fiscal policies. Stimulating demand too early risks high inflation. policymakers must balance growth and inflation control. Raising fuel prices can help manage the fiscal deficit. Global food prices surged in March to a multi-month high. The United Nations warns of further increases if the Middle East conflict persists. High energy costs are impacting fertilizer prices, potentially leading farmers to reduce planting. This could affect future crop yields and food commodity prices throughout this year and next. More than half a dozen potential suitors, including global investors Brookfield, Macquarie, KKR and Actis, are in early stage talks to acquire IntelliSmart infrastructure, reflecting strong investor interest in India's growing market for smart meters. The Indian government's visionary goal of deploying millions of smart meters by 2027 is a major catalyst for this surge. The government is discussing ways to increase the production of induction heaters and their matching utensils. This comes as demand surges due to worries about cooking gas supplies. The West Asia crisis has disrupted oil and gas shipments. This has led people to buy induction cooktops rapidly. The government is also providing relief on petrochemical imports. India begins Census 2027 on April 1, 2026. The nationwide count is the first in 16 years and will be fully digital, using smartphones and online portals. For the first time since 1931, caste will be comprehensively enumerated. The census aims for faster data delivery and improved policy making. This exercise will also generate significant employment opportunities across the country. Fast-moving consumer goods company Emami has acquired a 73% stake in flavored drink Aloe Fruit's parent company, Axiom Ayurveda, taking its total ownership to 100%. The company already had a 27% stake in Axiom Ayurveda. Emami said that it has acquired the remaining 73% stake for an amount not exceeding Rs 200 crores. The FMCG major stated that the acquisition is expected to be completed in a phased manner over the next 3 months. Like all the major FMCG players in India, Emami is also chasing startups that have made a name for themselves through unorthodox strategies and products. Emami acquired men's grooming startup The Man Company and part stakes in pet care brand Furball Story and nutrition company True Native. This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.